Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. Yeah, and here in Montana we actually are getting snow. I know a lot of places are in the triple digits, but not here. It's in the 30s at night right now, and we're in the 40s right now with a lot of rain, at least at the elevation I'm at, but I expect we'll get a little bit of snow. And I will easily see a lot of snow in the mountains. They're expecting up to a foot in certain areas, if you can believe that. But hey, that's normal for around here. Anyway, what I thought I'd do is go head to head with the Knipex and the Snap-on hose clamp pliers. Now, I have done videos on the smaller one, and the reason I wanted smaller was simply because it had more accessibility, more angles, etc. I like the design with these spinning jaws. However, these don't lock, so that creates a bit of an issue. I've done a video, I think, on this Matco one here. This is co-branded by quite a few different folks, but this is another way where you just clamp it right in here. Works well, but these are almost 200 bucks. And I'm going to throw these in. These are Tool Whiz. They're about 10 bucks on Amazon. Actually, they're less than $10 on Amazon. They are locking. They are not spring activated. They do have kind of a unique blade, I don't know what that's called, the containment design compared to the others. But let's go to these two here. What we're dealing with, the Snap-ons, they are, I can't remember, in the $60 range. And the Knipex, depends where you get them. They can go from high 60s to 70s, I'll just say. Overall, they both work. This one, well, here's the problem. This one works better. This is the Snap-on. It's got a really funky tool or two-piece locking mechanism here. It grabs all different kinds even better than the Knipex. The Knipex, I worry, is trying desperately to continue to use this sort of a cobra shape, and it's causing some problems because the only real modification they can do is right up here at the jaw, which works fabulous on most of the types of clips. However, I've got a bunch of clips here, and you'll see the limitations. Also, the way this works, it's a little bit different. You can adjust this just like a Cobra, which is great, so you can put it into essentially the proper position, and then it has that one locking mechanism, versus something like the Snap-on, where once it's free, and it's got a strong spring here, once it's ready to lock, you can see how that mechanism gives you many choices, many options. So let's go ahead and take a look at how these perform across the board in two different ways. One is, can they even grab it safely? And two, can you swivel it around? Meaning you can position the plier or you can grab it. So let's take a close look at the Snap-on end. What I think is a little weird is they've just got this, I don't remember what that's called, that kind of a compression rivet. It's easy to swap out, but it seems like a nut might be nicer, but I guess that is a little simpler. Anyway, so this is one end. It's both a bowl with a cutout, two cutouts as a matter of fact. It's got a cutout there and then one there. So it gives you a couple options. And then this is a little more complex here. You can see kind of the T shape. This is actually flat here. It's not a hook. Looks kind of hooky. But you can then get the same 360 rotation across all of these different faces. Whereas the Knipex is this standard, it's almost like a molar, a human tooth up on the top end. Get that to focus. So as you can see, a lot of symmetry. It's probably not, this camera doesn't do well in really cold weather, and obviously we haven't turned on the wood furnace yet, or wood stove yet, but the furnace is off, and so it's pretty chilly in here. I'm surprised you can't see my breath. But anyway, that's what's going on there. So let's take a closer look. Here is one. I'm going to adjust it using the standard Cobra push button. I have to release this to open it. I'll go ahead and crank down. You can see that then this will engage, and I've got it. This kind of a hose clamp here holds very well. Let's try another one. This is usually the big problem right here. It's where you've got kind of a spun wire, and you've got an easy to grab sort of hook on, I mean a loop on one side, but the problem on the other, shrink that down a little, open that, but the problem on the other are these two ends, and these really have a tendency for one of them to slip out like that, right there. So let's try the snap-on. Snap-on's obviously a lot bigger. You can see in its containment. That is huge, especially when you're trying to go in blind. I'll open these up. Obviously that drops in easy to a cup, or I can put it in on this side and hook it rock solid under that. Drop those into the cup. Flip that up and then squeeze those. Is it in there? Rock solid. You know, you could hang off of that. I mean, it's not going anywhere. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the snap-on is capable of. Great big ones here. Whoop. Let me get this locked. This is a little funky to get used to. So I've got it open, then I'll flip that up, allowing it to lock. See that? Got to open it. Swing that around. So this obviously is going to find its way there and scrunch down. Again, rock solid on a great big clip like this. Try this guy here. Open it up. I can grab those. Takes a little bit more effort. That's locked in there pretty strong. So it passes there. What about little tiny ones? This does allow you to go way down. Open it up. But trying to grab those two, you can see, doesn't work near as well. Once that's in, those pop out. So not good there on these kinds of clips. Let's try the snap-on. Flip that up. Go ahead and start squishing those in. Maybe I'll flip this around. Try to find the way it grabs it the best. Maybe like that. That's in there pretty strong. Not the best, not the cleanest, but I've got more options. Maybe that way. Flip that up. This is really wonky, but what are my options, huh? Try that again, flip that up. That's in there, pretty snug, and it has all the pieces. Now, why am I bringing this one in? Well, because Snap-on's asking a ton of money for, basically it's a chunk of steel. It's got a twist here, simple rivet. This mechanism's a little intricate. Oh, crazy engineering there. But this has got this too. Unfortunately, these don't. First of all, I think you do need a spring opening. I think that does help, and I've noticed that with the Knipex. But trying to grab things on this one, go way out. That's pretty gutsy to use that sort of a connection. You might lose an eye. I wouldn't recommend it on something like this. Too much force. You go down to this guy here. If I drop that in, it does work. You see how that pops right out though? It rolls up. There's something about the geometry of that cup. It's not quite right. If I reverse this, there's no way I can hang on to those. So even for 10 bucks, this gets some things done. But the question is, why does Snap-on charge so much for just a steel handle? I mean, they don't charge as much for kind of their other thin pressed metal tools like this. Maybe they charge because it works. I don't know. If I had to choose just one, this is actually less expensive than the Knipex. Knipex works great if you know exactly what kind of hose clamps you're going to be working on and it fits well with this one. Then this is actually a really nice, really clean, really adjustable version. But it is limited if you're going to go after all of these different kinds of hose clamps. This one, for some hose clamps, is perfect, easily worth the 10 bucks. Others, I would consider it a bit dangerous. Anyway, this one does almost everything as long as you are just releasing the hose clamp or installing the hose clamp. But if you want to just, clamp it free and have it stick with that locking mechanism, then you need a lock. And I don't mind having more than one of these because sometimes it's easier to have two, maybe one on each end or something ready to go. Usually you don't need that. You can just slide the hose clamps. But I've had some really funny turns on radiator hoses, and it's nice to have a pair of these. But what do you think? Which ones do you use? And why are these things so expensive for what they do? But anyway, let me know your thoughts. And with that, Doc out.